Greetings to you. My name is Tara Brabazon. I'm the Dean of Graduate Research at Flinders University, and welcome to Vlog 103. Whoa.
Yeah.
We're dealing with professional development for PhD students. This is big, this is huge, this is important. And I've got a wonderful friend and a wonderful guest to join me today to really talk about something extraordinary. What we're about to introduce at Flinders University is international best practice for professional development. You are not going to believe what we're going to talk about today, but the wonderful Dr Dani Milos is with me. She runs everything basically in this office. You do. You run all our professional development programs. You often see Dani in our induction programs. You see her through milestones, all sorts of what I call the value add of what we do in the Office of Graduate Research comes from this amazing woman's brain. And when I first started this job a couple of years ago, Danster, I thought there were a lot of things that were fantastic about Flinders and the program we have here, but most of them involved professional development, which was the work that you were doing. So I'm thrilled to talk with you today, my queen. And yes, things were good, but things are about to get a hell of a lot better. So Danster, we're doing some big announcements this week.
We sure are.
And we're going to talk about REST. Now, the acronym I know freaks people out because it's calming and nurturing and maybe just a little bit hippie for people.
Yeah.
But so we're introducing REST as our professional development program. Could you tell us about REST?
Sure. Well, first of all, I suppose I should tell you what REST actually stands for, shouldn't I?
Yes.
The Research and Employability Skills Training.
Right, so research and employability skills training. Every word is important there.
And this is where this program actually differs from what we've been doing so far. Because we have been offering professional development training, we've been offering research development training more so. But we've never really offered employability training centrally at Flinders University. So it is something that we are introducing because it is not enough to just provide students with a certificate at the end and say, here's your PhD, off you go. We actually have to equip them with the skills that they need to succeed. We have to make sure that they're actually career ready.
That's really powerful, Danster, and what I find so amazing, and the figures are volatile, guys. I would love to quote a set of figures that can sort of make all of this make sense, but the figure something like is that only 40% of students enrolled in a PhD program end up working in a university as an academic. Right? So that's a stunning stat to me. It varies internationally and obviously it varies by discipline, but it may even be lower than that in some nations. So that means most of you watching this vlog today will not end up as academics working in a university. So therefore, what are you going to do? What's your employability? Now, we've done something really clever, and I see a handout. You know, I love a good handout. REST is based on what's called a Vitae, V-I-T-A-E, Vitae framework. So you've made a decision to use a framework to model Flinders practice. So could you tell us a little bit about Vitae and why you made that choice?
Sure. I think it's important to have a framework in mind when you're talking about skills development. Because otherwise you are just taking a bunch of workshops and courses and not really knowing what you're doing with them. Where do they fit in? What are you getting out of them?
Right.
How can you actually reflect on that? Where do you record that? How do you demonstrate the skills you've gained from a workshop attendance sheet?
Wow. And also, and what's the relationship between the PD too? So you've taught me this. So, you know, we all, when we went through, did sort of this a bit of PD, all mentioned that. What's the relationship? So Vitae, did it come from the UK originally? So it's a UK-based framework to structure professional development?
It is, definitely. So Vitae have developed the Researcher Development Framework to actually help researchers structure the development under different domains. That is helpful to actually get them to plan their development, plan the skills that they want to gain throughout it, make sure they're recording those skills as they go along, and to be able to demonstrate those skills under a certain framework. So it's a really important framework to actually help researchers understand where they're at, where they're going, and how they're going to get there.
And I mean, it's structured into 4 quadrants. So obviously there's 4 quadrants, there's not 6, but 4 quadrants, the key is in the quad. Now, I'm fascinated by this, and I'm going to list these. So these are the 4 quadrants of Vitae. Am I allowed to put the handout up? So here's the one we prepared earlier. So they're the 4 quadrants, and I'm going to list them because I am stunned at this. So remember, this is how we're structuring professional development and structuring how you think about your career and what you might be lacking, right? So the 4 quadrants in REST and indeed in Vitae are knowledge and intellectual abilities, so one would imagine mainly disciplinary expertise, research methods and so forth, personal effectiveness, so the personal skills you need to get on with life and face the table. 3, research governance and organisation. Now I love that. So if you end up working in, might be quasi non-government organisations or all sorts of interesting research organisations that are not in universities, that's crucial. And the last one, I mean this is just the brains trust this, engagement, influence and impact. So there are the 3 big words on the planet right now: engagement, influence and impact. So everything you need to do a CV, present yourself in an interview is structured for you in Vitae. So what's the value of this structure for our students, do you think? And supervisors as well, maybe?
Supervisors as well, definitely. This is a researcher development framework. It is meant for researchers, all researchers, be they HDR students, be they early career researchers, mid-career researchers, supervisors, whatever it is.
Well,
it is really to help them structure their training and structure their learning and their knowledge that they already have. So I suppose what this particular structure does is really separate the different skills that you have under those domains. So for example, like you said, discipline specific stuff, all the training that we use to offer is actually just one little quadrant of what we should be offering.
Wow.
Okay, so separating those skills actually I think helps people understand what else is it that I actually need to be a competent researcher. How do I actually get there as well?
See, that's powerful to me. I had a fascinating email this week from a supervisor saying, why should I do professional development? Why is professional development necessary? And I always have only one answer to that. How do you know what you don't know? How do you know what you don't know? And if you just rely on experience, it's just your experience and you're just one person. And there's billions of people on the planet. Why wouldn't you learn from the expertise of others rather than the experience? So these quadrants get you organised. I was going to say, the thing that I always found when I was doing this, and you can do it as a senior scholar or as a junior scholar, is you really do see the gaps quickly. We're going to talk about a skills analysis in a sec, but you very quickly see, oh look, I'm good at those 3, but suddenly you realise one whole quadrant, you're going, nah.
Definitely.
And so this is the work we're going to be focusing on for our guys and gals. So we're just talking about why professional development matters for all of us, but why does it matter to a PhD student, Danster? So, you know, I'll use the archetypal argument. So I'm enrolled in a PhD, I need to finish the PhD in 3 years, I've got a relationship with my supervisor, I've got the experiments I have to do, I've got the field work I have to do, I haven't got time for anything else except the research I'm doing on that PhD. How would you counter that argument?
Sure, well, first question I would ask you is, what are you going to do with your PhD? Why are you getting a PhD? Where are you going afterwards? What does that piece of paper actually mean to you, and where can you take it?
Superb, and of course that's the question, where exactly is this going, what exactly are we doing here? So, you know, the answer is often, if we're going to do this role play, who knew we were doing 1980s role play, you frightened me by the way, the answer would, oh look, well, I'm going to go do a postdoc, I'm going to do a postdoc, but then of course, unless you understand research, governance and organisation, you might get the job, but how do you understand how you get the next job? Because the nature of postdocs is like the precariat. They're incredibly unstable, so how are you going to build a career out of it? How are we going with this role play? Is this functional?
And they're competitive. You're going to be competing against a whole lot of other people who may have more experience than you, who may have more skills than you. Now, how do you compete with that?
And also, because Vitae is now the international standard, our students at Flinders are competing with people who are using Vitae. So they've got the language to sell themselves. Really
we have the language and we have the resources that they have provided to us as well. So we have the knowledge of 20 years of experience of research and development organisation by using this framework. So
why wouldn't you use it? I suppose that's the weird thing when staff and students are not interested in professional development. I love learning. I go, oh, this is exciting, I get to go to something. Is that, you know, what are you frightened of? Isn't it just an opportunity to learn and grow and transform and become your best self, really?
It is, and I think most of that comes from not understanding the value of professional development or what it is, you know. Like I said, that piece of paper at the end doesn't get you very far. You're going to need to apply for jobs. You're going to need to actually write those applications. You're going to need to demonstrate your skills in a written and a verbal format. So how do you actually do that? What examples do you use? What framework do you use? How do you go about that? You can't just say, I have these skills because I did a PhD.
And also the other thing I love about Vitae is it gives you the language that the industry and multiple industries are using. So when these industries are using engagement or impact, you need to really understand what that question means in an interview. If they're talking about research or organisation and governance systems and structures, if you don't know what that is, and you're going into a postdoc environment, and that's what, that's the argument, I'm going to go do a postdoc, how are postdocs organised?
Yeah.
And if you don't know that, that's in one of the 4 quadrants of Vitae. Are we winning?
Sure is, we are.
Right, now this is the great bit. You've done all of this. Can I say, Dani is amazing. She's done this all herself. She's an astounding human being. And you've got our students starting the program with a skills needs analysis. I just have to watch the S's there because it's the double S, isn't it?
It is.
Skills needs analysis. I love that. What the hell is it?
Sure.
And what's its purpose?
Yeah. Its purpose is to really, as the name may suggest, analyse people's skills. It's important. We have, you've talked about this a lot. We have a third of our students are part-time, a third of them are external. A whole lot of our students come to us, mid-career to come and upskill. They don't just come in here doing a PhD as a natural progression.
Average age of PhD starters at Flinders, 36.
So they have a whole lot of experience and a whole lot of skills that they bring with them. So therefore, I believe it is important to actually recognise these skills and not just say to students, okay, this is a framework, these are the skills you need to have, go and get them. It's important for students to actually recognise the skills that they already have and try to understand how those skills then fit under this framework and start envisaging themselves under everything that they've learned under this particular framework so they can take it further.
See, I find that really powerful. By the way, very hot day in Adelaide. You might bring up, we're doing well here. No air conditioning in the office, we're doing well. But can I say, why I'm so impressed by this and why it critiques the deficit model of doctorate education, which I so despise. So the notion in our head that the students that we're teaching are 22 years old and in a lab, most of the overwhelming majority of students are not that. They come with a life and with families and with experiences and understandings that are so rich. And yet we sort of think we're putting them through a sausage factory of a PhD. The skills needs analysis says, what are you bringing to us? Where do you start? What's at the table? And then how can we enable that? So if you've got a gap, you've done all 3 fantastically, how do we fill that gap? Exactly. So can I just ask, how would you measure that? So what are you doing to do that skills needs analysis?
Yes, sure. So under the skills needs analysis, we'll ask you to basically reflect on each of the different topics that are available under the domains. Okay, so we're talking about all the research methods, literature review, career development, each topic.
Right.
And then we'll be asking you to actually rate yourself. Where do you think you fit in? How confident are you at this skill? How much do you think you have gained in this skill already? And secondly, we'll ask you how important that skill is to you in the first place. So you may not find particular skills very important in your career, and we certainly won't make you do it if you don't find it important. So we'll be asking you what priority you want to give to this skill.
This is huge.
And thirdly, we'll ask you to plan when it is that you want to actually upskill in this particular domain, if you do.
So of course that then fits into our milestones program. You're backwardly mapping. For those of you that are following the vlogs, you're then backwardly mapping. These are the skills that I want by the time I graduate with this doctorate. So what do I need to do, and when am I going to do it? So it's brilliant backward mapping through the Vitae framework.
Definitely. So it gets you to reflect on the skills you already have and gets you to plan for the future to figure out how you can actually get to where it is you want to get to.
I mean, this is everything, isn't it? This is transformative of doctoral education, I think, because this is really, when people go, oh, look, what job are you going to get with this? Well, you can answer that question. You can exactly explain your skill sets, use the language that the employers are going to be using, the small and medium-sized enterprises, what they're going to be using, you can deliver to them. Amazing. So can we talk a little bit about the activity? So we've talked about the structure and the language and the value. What's in there? What stuff is going on there? What would they do? What's it look like?
Sure. What is in there is absolutely everything that is available to students at Flinders University. So we're starting off, well, first of all, we're starting off with your fabulous vlogs because there is so much content in there. We've done over 100 vlogs. It's a lot of time and effort and a lot of content in these, and very, very rich. So we're starting off with those. They will be listed under each one of the topics. So we've structured it under each vlog will be under
a quadrant,
under a subdomain under that particular topic.
Yes.
Okay, so it's going down to the fine level of detail.
Wow.
So, for example, if students want to find out any sort of vlogs that you've done for literature reviews, they just need to click into literature review, and all your vlogs will be there.
Wow.
So, starting off with the vlogs, but not stopping there. So, we're also introducing a whole number of MOOCs and online workshops that are available to students, so you can access them through this. as well as any sort of further resources that are available at Flinders University, and links to workshops. So when I say workshops, I don't mean workshops that are just run by us. I mean workshops that are available across the university.
Oh,
from
huge.
all the other centres, from the Horizon Award, from the colleges, from the computer guides. Every workshop that is available to HDR students will be under the topic.
And can I say, this was a major issue that I think Jess, particularly Hi Jess, was so worried about last year, where she said, look, all these great things are happening all over the campus, and yet we don't know about them. So I'm down at Flinders Medical and I don't know what's happening in bio, or I don't know what's happening in nanotech. So actually being able to say, look, this material is available, and also we're trying to data capture it as well, so our guys and gals outside of Adelaide can also access it well. So it's that accessibility that's crucial.
Yes, definitely.
Fantastic.
And we want to really fill a void with this workshop. So we're not going to be running workshops just because we've done so in the past. What I really want to do with this year is see what's available to us online. What do you get out of the vlogs? What do you get out of the podcasts? What do you get out of the MOOCs? And then what you don't get from that, and how we can actually fill that gap. So what else do you need from the workshops? We don't want to provide the generic workshops to you guys anymore. We want to actually sit down and go through the specific details that you need to actually go further with this skill.
Oh, that's crucial, because Dani's also organised me in terms of the vlogs as well, because she's put the vlogs through the domain. She said, Tara, you're lacking strongly in one area of the domain. So I'll be particularly doing work on the knowledge economy and the new economy and that type of area. I think the precariat was the one that was in there, but I'll be particularly filling out that quadrant in some weeks. So she's organising you, she's organising me as well, because I had a skills needs analysis gap myself.
Yes, and it's not me organising it, it's the framework.
Yes.
Applying the framework to your vlogs actually illustrates that you have a number of gaps.
I have a number of gaps. Mind you, I'm blaming all of you because you make the suggestions, but now so she's making the suggestions, so we'll fill a couple of gaps for the next few weeks. That's fantastic. And look, I really do want to talk about, and you know we started these vlogs for the guys and gals in the Northern Territory. I thought 8 people would watch them every week, because 1/3 of our students are part-time, 1/3 of our students live outside of South Australia. So for those men and women, and I care about you guys so much, and I want you to feel like you're in an immersive doctoral experience. That's what I want for you all, and Danster does as well. I know you were feeling quite powerless the last couple of years, that you're providing a good on-campus service and you're bringing the students to the campus, but why should they be coming here? Shouldn't we be doing something for them? So can you tell me a little bit about how you're thinking about our guys and gals who are part-time and off the campus, how that impacts on your ideas for this new model?
Yeah, definitely. So everything that you could possibly find out about REST is now on the REST Flow site. So everybody, as a first step, please log into the Flow site, register yourself for it, it's self-enrollment. Once you're in there, you can go through the different sort of domains. First of all, look through the RDF and familiarise yourself with the framework before you go any further. And then everything that we do is going to be on the Flow site. Every workshop that we run, everything that we offer is actually going to be advertised through the Flow site, and all the online content will be housed in the Flow site. So that is really going to be our home for everything, and not just REST, but HDR management, HDR candidature, all at once.
So like a one-stop shop.
It is a one-stop shop.
It's a one-stop shop, and so and so particularly. So what do you think is the change that our off-campus students and our part-timers will notice through this system? Do you think?
You'll notice a whole lot of online content to begin with. Okay, so the content that is actually on there, like I said, starting off with the vlogs and a number of MOOCs, but also I will make sure that each workshop that the OGR conducts is actually video recorded, and it is uploaded on the Flow site as well. Now, we have had some issues with this in the past just because we haven't had the space and the technology to do this, but I've just discovered a new room that I've used for the past week.
As you can see, she looks so glamorous. She always looks glamorous, but she's been literally videoed within an inch of her life this week. But also, and we had a lot of great commentary, I think, in The Loop, that wonderful feedback session we had last Friday, Danster, where a lot of our men and women particularly wanted podcasts as well, sound only, so they could actually have that while they're exercising, while they're walking and stuff. So I'm now very conscious the other bits of content that I'll give to Dani will be sonic, so it's a small file that you can load up to your device and listen to on the go in the car when you're dropping the kids off, when you're going for a walk. So we'll also make sure there's sonic materials as well, and textual. The multimodality is something you and I have been focusing very strongly on, and we'll diversify that out. So whatever is your favoured platform, we will try and deliver that to you via Flow.
Definitely.
You're amazing.
Why, thank
Can I just say, I love working with Dani. She is a fine scholar, she is a fine academic, and she cares every single day about improving what we do at this university, and she has worked her guts out. I'm being really honest on this. Dani has worked her guts out. She's a brilliant woman, but lots of insight, lots of deep thinking to create and take this great model that exists in Vitae, but deliver it bespoke for you at Flinders. So Dani, on behalf of the university, on behalf of the Office of Graduate Research, we're terribly proud of you. Thank you for the work that you've done. And guys, go to that flow site, and the wonderful Dani Milos, she is there waiting for you for fabulousness. So this is an opportunity for us to be modern. This is an opportunity for us to be outward facing, and we're taking this seriously. Everyone talks about employability and people do nothing. We're talking about employability, and we're going to get you there. So Dani, thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you very much.
You are stunning. On behalf of us both, we wish you love,
Life,
and peace. The Dan Stat and tea out. Love ya. Cheers. Bye-bye.